videos nearly 2 years ago, I've played many different games, each one with its own world, set of characters, art direction. No two games are the same. Wow, nice job starting an entry by stating the obvious, me, but I really do feel like there's something to say here. There are so many amazing games out there that take the time to develop a world, develop characters, develop a story, and what it ultimately makes for is an escape from reality. And that's what's so interesting to me. As a gamer, I can totally get lost in the sprawling levels of Mario Odyssey, the fierce competition of Splatoon, and the ocean in Wind Waker. But the interesting thing is, one of the games that's closest to my heart is actually a game where what happens is almost completely up for the player to decide. Animal Crossing has been a fascinating series to play over the years. To me, it's one of the few games that gives you all the tools you need to advance, and what happens from there is completely up to you. Want to pave your town and make it a city? Go for it. Want to keep things cozy and build a small farm? That's great too. Out of all the games I've played over the years, Animal Crossing is a very refreshing way to approach gameplay, and that it gives the freedom for the player to build their life however they want. But at the same time, its unique and quirky style make it not feel too much like real life, which is probably also the reason I put 850 hours into New Leaf. Also, I still never managed to get a blue rose, so if anybody knows how to get that, will you please tell me how you learned magic? But as much as I enjoy playing Animal Crossing, there's one game I've always neglected: City Folk. I got City Folk several years ago to play with some people I knew who lived out of town. However, because this was before the time I paid attention to Nintendo, I wasn't aware that the Wii's online service didn't even exist anymore. So not long after that, I picked up a 3DS and began a town in New Leaf, and after that, City Folk was just kinda left to gather dust. However, as I moved into the new studio and reset up all the systems, I picked up my copy of City Folk. The last time I played Animal Crossing was nearly 2 years ago, and to celebrate Animal Crossing Switch's announcement, I decided to boot it up, begin my new life in the world of Animal Crossing, and see just what the game had to offer. The first thing that jumped out to me about City Folk was how nice everything looks. The Wii only shows things at 480p, and yet somehow this is the prettiest title in the series. Also, why does it seem like every time I open up City Folk I do this? The first cutscene, if you can even call it that, happens right here on the bus. Rover, this cat right here, asks you a couple questions about what your name is, where you're from, etc. Welcome to the most stress-inducing part of Animal Crossing, by the way. Maybe it's just because I'm terrible at naming things, but the fact that I can't change this stuff later is absolutely horrifying to me. If you've been in any of my editing or behind-the-scenes streams before, you probably know that I'm the most indecisive person ever. Actually, one of the last towns I made was called Kashi. If you don't know what that is, it was the cereal I ate for breakfast that morning. It was pretty good. The cereal, I think the town got deleted. But this time, I decided to take my time, coming up with a name that would sound cool. So hello, my name is Raindrop from Overcast. Actually, now that I think about it, looking outside the window is probably the closest I've willingly gotten to nature in a long time. Now, when you first get into town, there's a lot of chores to do to get you completely set up. Now, this is pretty normal from a gameplay standpoint, but the fact that it takes 40 to 45 minutes to get done can make it seem like a pretty daunting task. However, I was able to find a cool house to live in and oh hi. I've been an HGTV nerd for many years, and I feel like I have the right to say that Tom Nook belongs on income property. Alright, so as per usual, it's time to run to Nook's shop so we can complete our chores. It's not a bad idea necessarily. It gives us a chance to meet our villagers, get used to the writing system, as well as learn the basics of gardening. So after a little while of running into several hundred trees and otherwise aimlessly in an attempt to find my villagers' houses, and also writing a pretty flawless ad, I'm done working for Nook! Yes! Now I'm unemployed. After getting past the tutorial, it's gotten more and more apparent that part of where Animal Crossing's calm atmosphere comes from is the repetitiveness of it. Most of my time during the day is spent doing things like fishing, bug catching, and finding fossils. That's also my main source of income, as you can sell pretty much any items you find at Nook's shop. He's not really that picky. Unlike its successor, New Leaf, City Folk doesn't have a tropical island you can go to in order to make a profit though, so making money does take a lot more time than it does in the 3DS version. But aside from doing chores around town, Animal Crossing is a game focused on communication, obviously. Aside from doing chores around town, Animal Crossing is a communication-based game, even if it is just with non-playable characters now. Rest in peace, WFC. In the GameCube and 3DS versions of Animal Crossing, there were usually several prompts to choose from when conversing with a villager. Although your character doesn't usually speak in the conversation, picking from that list at least felt like I was talking to someone. However, in City Folk, that's not always there, and many of my talks with people around town were pretty passive. Because of this, I kind of ended up not talking to people, and that was a lot of the reason I didn't play City Folk as much as the others. However, that's not to say that conversations with villagers always lead to nothing. In fact, a couple times I was able to deliver some items to villagers, adjust my town tune, etc. It's the little details that make Animal Crossing enjoyable, and that's what City Folk gets right. I've had Overcast for about 2 weeks now, and while I still remember why I always kept giving up on playing City Folk, it was nice to return to Animal Crossing for a change. City Folk easily has the best graphical fidelity in the Animal Crossing series. The villagers and animals all look great, and the different house designs look so wonderful. They add an extra bit of charm to the game, which is always a good thing. Bells, the very inflated Animal Crossing currency, are not super hard to come by, which is good, but they do take some time to get. That said, saving up enough to pay off a loan feels like more of a reward than the other versions, and I like that a lot. Animal Crossing may not be a game for completionists, but it does feel good to see your character cheer after paying off the seemingly never-ending loans that they have on their house. Where the game falls flat, in my opinion, is in terms of communication. Because the Wi-Fi connection system on the Wii was discontinued 4 years ago, having other real-life players travel to your town is more difficult, and I never really found a lot of reasons to converse with the villagers already there. But what City Folk does retain is the charm that's made Animal Crossing such a great series to play since its 2001 launch. While it may have gone through many different iterations, each one always stays true to its whimsical characters and art direction that really make each title so iconic. And at the end of the day, it's that makes Animal Crossing City Folk a worthwhile escape from reality. Hello everybody, Yoshiguy64 here, and thank you so much for watching this episode of the Gamer's Journal. This has actually been a series that's been in the works for a couple months now, and while it meant that I didn't upload much in the meantime, I'm really excited for how it's turning out. During the time I was gone, you might have noticed some changes around the channel in general. First of all, pretty much all of the art, including my header and profile pic, have been updated. A lot of the animations have been redone, as well as the name of the channel has actually been changed to Nintendo Media. So there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes right now, but I think as we move into the end of 2018 and then going into 2019, I think this will be hopefully a really good thing for the channel, and I hope you're excited about it too. So to those of you who stuck around during this time of me kind of going silent, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And to anybody who's wondering, episodes of the Gamer's Journal I'm hoping will go up at least once per month, with maybe a couple filler videos in between depending on what content there is to cover at what time. So thank you all so much again for joining me and for all the wonderful support. I really can't appreciate you guys enough. And as always, I will see you next time for everything nerdy and Nintendo.